Oh. Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. In a Vedic Vivaha, that is a wedding that is facilitated according to the Veda, then part of the ceremony is the pere, where a couple, they walk around a fire. And they do this 4 times. The first, second, and third is really for the fourth. And what this symbolizes is that dharma, artha, and kama are a means to moksha that is the end. Dharma is position, artha is possession, kama is pleasure. If this is in our lives, this has to be directed towards moksha or peace. And that's why this pere is called Mangala. Mangala means auspiciousness. The only auspiciousness is egolessness. That and moksha are synonymous. Now, those who have experience with this, there's one more unique part of this part of the ritual. The couples, particularly the brides, siblings, and cousins, keep offering her rice, which she and her groom traditionally then offer into the fire. Rice is a symbol for prosperity. Before the Industrial Revolution, every nation was agriculture-based, whether Canada, whether Mexico, whether South Africa. And so the more land you had, the more animals you had, the richer you were. So now where's all of this prosperity being offered to? To this fire. This is an icon of Agni. Agni is a witness. The deity in our eyes is also fire or Agni. We're witnessing so much with our eyes. That Agni is witnessing that we are making a commitment to invest in peace. We are ready to let go of, to burn up our prosperity for peace. So now I'm looking to all of you. I've been married for almost 13 years. Are you making this Mangala Pere an event where you did this for a few minutes and that too you were concerned that your clothes were going to get burned or smoky? Or is this your development? This is the purpose of your life. I feel Meaningful Mornings is such a precious reminder of what we've done to follow through with that. Throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavan shares that he takes away the support of those he cares for. Bhagavan Rama shares this. Bhagavan Krishna shares this. Now think about this logically. When a support is taken away, then we have to practice. We have to practice more vigilance, independence. Agreed? Like if you see a signal on your car as you're driving, that car is not in the best shape, so you become more vigilant then, correct? You are go and check the car out to see how it's doing afterwards. And that's why one of the rads that was posted online was, grace causes us to practice. Here, we're about to reach 1,000 days of meaningful mourning. Who doesn't have knowledge? But to practice what we know, that only comes with grace. This practicing, shared in a different way, is converting values to virtues. When you know and don't practice, that's a value. When you know and you practice, that's a virtue. And this is my consistent sharing and seeking culture for our young adults, parenting culture for our evolving adults. What it means to be a seeker, what it means to be a caregiver, is to practice values. Even when I facilitate training on Sanatana Dharma, in an hour I have our police meeting, our regular police meeting, I share with them that in Sanatana Dharma or Hinduism, we don't convert. We have no notion of conversion because it's not external. Being someone who knows and follows Sanatana Dharma is internal. That's why I've shared with you, it's not a karma, it's a bhava. Everyone's resonating with what's being shared. This portion of Bhagavad Gita is so overt about what values are. These are Sri Krishna's virtues. If we want to be close to Sri Krishna, we have to practice these values. Some of them are, in verse 13, Sri Krishna shares, Nir Mama and Nir Aham, which means to not be holding on to myness and I-ness. In the Ramayana, Sri Tulasidasa describes Maya, that which deludes us, as me or mora, which in English means me, and my. In verse 14, one of the values that Sri Krishna explains is yata. Yata is where you direct the body rather than the body controlling you. And Puja Swami Tejomayananda had shared, the front line of our body is our senses, correct? More important than my forearm is my eyes, even though this is a sense organ too, but my eyes are a much more frontline sense organ. All that the senses do, what they output, what they input, is a sensation. It's just a sensation. How are you letting sensations control you? So to direct the body. Now in verse 15, we come across one of the most practical verses of this chapter, I feel, of the entire Bhagavad Gita. I've taught this verse in so many ways. I've facilitated entire workshops just on these two lines. Verse 15. Yasmano dvijate lokaha, lokano dvijate chayaha, harsha marsha bhayodvegaihi, mukto yassacha me priyaha. Joy. Think it more, say it more, act it more. The best way to understand the practicality of this verse is to go in the reverse order. I'm in the fourth quarter. Yaha, the one who has converted these values into virtues, saha, that person, me priyaha, is dear to me. Coming back to the rituals that we facilitate in Sanatana Dharma, before you get into the primary puja, we overtly speak out Shri Parameshwara Prityartham, which means Prityartham, which means I'm about to engage in this, not for me, but for he, in this case, Shri Parameshwara. Shri Krishna is sharing the same here. The one who is living in this way, that means they're living for me. That means they're dear to me. That means they're close to me. Now, I'm challenging all of you again. When you engage in rituals, do you hear these words? Shri Parameshwara Prityartham. Do you actually believe what you're doing is for him and not for you? Because if that's not the case, then check yourself. Make this meaningful. This is value 13. It is mukta. Mukta means to be free of. Free of what? Udvega. We'll start with udvega. I'm going backwards. Udvega means anxiety. So, to be free of anxiety. Now, what are we most anxious about? The future. So how does one become free of anxiety? Plan. When one plans well in reference to the future, then one becomes free of anxiety. One day, I'll ask someone to take another angle of this angle, and you'll see how many types of books are in front of me. I have a police meeting at 9 o'clock. I have a diverse growth meeting at 8 o'clock. I have our Upanishad class at 9 o'clock. We have to drive back to Niagara. If I don't plan for these, then I'm not going to be able to feel good about myself. Then, mukta of bhaya. Bhaya technically means fear, but in this context, it means regret. And where does regret take us? To the past. Some of us are afraid of the future because of the regrets of the past. How does one become free of these regrets? Learn. Whatever has happened to you in your life, if you learn from it, you'll be free of regret. For all of you who are in our courses, just this weekend, our crew came up with a very special prasad to offer you, to help you to reflect better, to learn from the past better. Then mukta of harsha, which means pleasure. Amarsha means pain. This is in reference to the excitement in the present. When one is excited, one starts to describe what they're experiencing more. They label more, like this is so pleasurable or this is so painful. How does one free themselves of this excitement? It is through engage. Engage the present. Do instead of talking about doing. I find it so stunning about how when people are in front of that which is stunning, like the Niagara Falls or a tulip garden, what are they doing? Taking photographs. They're describing what they're experiencing instead of actually experiencing. Okay. So again, the 13th value is to be free of anxiety, regret, excitement. How? Through planning, learning, engaging. And now the even more practical, even more beautiful part of this verse. This is value 14. In the second quarter, it is na udvijate loka. And the word we'll use is na udvijata. Na udvijata. Okay, 13 was mukta. Now, udvijata means annoyed. Annoyed. I'm putting the na in front of there. To not be annoyed by the world. Isn't that an awesome virtue? To not allow the world to annoy you. Lokat means from the world. That from the world you're not annoyed. And Puja Swami Tejo Mayananda shared, the only way to not be annoyed by the world is to follow your dharma. When you are engaged in your responsibilities, it's like you're rising above likes and dislikes. But think about this more. When you drive, what annoys you the most about driving is irresponsible drivers. If you're with responsible drivers, you're not annoyed by them, correct? So be that responsible driver and less people will be annoyed by you. Now, if you're annoyed by responsible drivers, it's because you're irresponsible. Correct? It's those who don't follow dharma that are annoyed by people who follow dharma. Dharma. And now the first quarter, we're just going to combine this as one virtue. Na udvijate loka, to not be annoyed by the world and to not annoy the world. Makes sense. How many of you would describe yourself as someone who doesn't annoy the world? We'll see. I'll ask your family and friends. And the way to practice this is dana. When you become a giver, and what happens is you don't, you're not annoyed. You're not an annoying person. Okay? You following your responsibilities, then what happens? You're not annoyed by the world. When you're a generous person, you don't annoy the world. In my own personal experience, when I travel to different communities and chapters, I share when people offer me resources, you just do whatever you want with it. I'm not here for this. And I feel that's why I'm invited again. But if I came and said this and this and this and this, that's, people don't want to be around people who are so calculating. Dana. I'll share more about this tomorrow. From inspiration to application, your application for this whole week, I'm giving you the reference. The Mahabhaga is trees. Who's dear to Shri Krishna? Trees. I had explained that some years ago in a workshop on our Shastra, on our environment. Another reference is that trees are a bhakta. And so, when bhaktas are with Bhagwan, then they talk about bhaktas. And so for every value in this chapter, we are to plant a tree. This is an audio-visual reminder for us to nurture values. You can do this anywhere. My preference is for you to do this around your home. That way you see this every day. It's an audio-visual reminder to nurture patience, nurture generosity. And please take a photograph of this tree being planted and share this on our website. There's 250 of us. If all of us just planted 4 or 5 trees, we would reach our 1,000 tree aspiration. I feel I shouldn't even have to say this. Yes. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be joy.